Welcome to the recorded session of the Business AI and Digital Toolbox program with Jared Walker chatting about social media and AI use. Let's go. For those who are here, I wanted to briefly introduce Jared. Jared Walker, the social subscription, and a few other wonderful names under your belt and many accolades. I'm just going to say all the things that I know about you and a few projects that we worked on together. So it's always really fun, really wonderful experience to collaborate with you, and it's only been great things that we've done together.
Yeah.
And it's great to see Jared's work out there in the wild and the general public and just people on socials really paying attention to what he's doing and the content that he's creating. So there's a lot of knowledge that this person possesses. So I'm kind of ready to, I think let's take away from here, Jared. Let's get the
Cool.
ball rolling.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. I really appreciate it, firstly. I think, number one, I want to say that there's nothing wrong with what I say today. Like, if you're doing things in your business and I say, don't do that, then don't see that as a negative. Sorry, just give me 2 seconds. The girls are in the room. We've got a huge day today in the office, so we're just busy working around things. And Tegan decided that she was going to start laughing as soon as I started talking, so she's now stepped outside the room. But yeah, so there's nothing that's wrong with your business as such, as we break down some of the aspects of AI and content today. So do take that into mind and into consideration. It's all a learning tool. It's all very relatively new, and we don't expect everyone to have every tool under their belt from the get-go.
Excellent. Just a really quick one. There's a
Yep.
Q&A panel in the bottom. Everybody should see that. Please just feel free to drop in your questions there. Or if you can't see that, just use the chat function on the right-hand side of the window. I'll be looking at that and just bring that to Jared's attention while he's sharing his knowledge.
Yeah, definitely start putting some questions in there for me. So as I'm talking, I can jump back onto these later in the day or later in the session. But I'm going to look at a couple things today, and I'm going to look at the tools I use for social media specifically, and making content and writing content, all of the above. And then I'm going to talk about labels through social media at the moment. So we're going to talk about AI generated content versus AI creators, and they're two different things. So we'll have a look at that today. And a huge part of the session today, we're going to look at AI slop and the problems that are facing that across the board. So I have a lot of intel because a few of my friends are very high up in Google and Meta. So they funnel me through a lot of information that isn't yet public knowledge, which we'll go over. And then we're going to finish it off with why human content really will prevail over AI generated content. And this all should flow quite nicely through.
All right.
Cool. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to close out my calculator because there's no reason to have my calculator showing while I'm there. But we're going to just jump in initially, and I'm going to share a few things with you guys today, but a program that I use quite heavily in a lot of my work with the help of AI is two things. I have Claude, if you use Claude, and I use Figma. Now, just give me 2 seconds. Team projects, all folders. Of course, we're going to have difficulties right now.
That's always the way.
Yeah, it is always the way. So many of you guys would be using Canva in a lot of your work day by day for making banners or other sorts of content. But a big program that we're using and a lot of major agencies are using across the board is Figma. And it's easy because, and I'll show you why, we put all of our clients' work in here, and we can drop in stuff that we generate from Claude as such into Figma. And Figma is just basically a tool that is like Canva, but I always say it's on steroids. So you can work on multiple frames at the same time, and it's very similar to how uh, you use Canva. So when we're thinking about this, I use this basically because most people are using AI generated images like this as such. And how do you stand out against everyone starting to use this type of content? And we here at the Social Subscription, and the girls alongside of me, we all use Figma. So it's just a really simple way for us to make stage by stage content. Now, you would see there's a little bit of consistency through here, and something that we use quite heavily is obviously Claude. And we'll generate a concept through Claude and we'll spit it out, and then we'll copy the same infrastructure or the same design across multiple different options. So this is just a really cool tool that you can use if you're ever wanting to dive deep into this. There's lots of YouTube series by Figma on how to use it. But it's just something that I thought I would share with you guys to write down and have a look at in the future if you're wanting to really up the ante on your content. Won't go too deep into it today because it's quite a heavy program once you start learning it. Another tool we use quite heavily at the moment, and I will go into this, is Artlist. So Artlist has, Artlist has a range of new AI tools, everything from Gronk all the way. I'll just show you. It has lots of different models in it where we can generate videos for clients. So the reason why we use this program specifically is because it does have the whole list. It is quite expensive in terms. It starts anywhere from $35 all the way up to, we pay a $700 a month subscription for this, because every time you make AI content, it burns tokens. And they've put limits on that so that people can't just make endless amounts of content and cause issues on the internet for that. So there are parameters in there. Another tool that we're currently, then I'll go back into Claude, sorry. And then a big thing that we work on is with Claude to write our content. The reason why we use Claude over other programs is due to this, and I'll pop it up. We use it because it extensions. So Claude's able to plug into Google Chrome, as we use as one of our main browsers. And it also plugs into Figma, and it plugs into your Google Drive, everything that's browse extensions. I'll just look at all my extensions, sorry. So there's heaps of different extensions that we can use with Claude currently at the moment. That allows us to quickly work through processes that would once take a lot of time to develop content or, search for something. I just finished working on a project with Jim Barry's, and they have quite a large file of images. And so we plugged Claude into their OneDrive, and it allowed us to search through all of the images that we were trying to look for by simply prompting for an image, saying, do you have this photo of Jim Barry in 1980s? And it would go through, scan through all the images, and then pop it back to us instead of having to do it ourselves manually. So there's all these awesome little tools that are now becoming available. And if you start to get a grasp on them early stages, I think it will really help your business in the long term. Anything you want to say, Kedra?
Yeah, so other than Figma, so Figma is it's a very flexible tool, and it is really practical for a lot of creative workflows. Do you have suggestions of other creative tools that people could use instead of Figma? Like, could you hypothetically use Canva or like Affinity or something like that to work with this?
Yeah, you can definitely use Affinity, and you can definitely use Canva. Um, the I think the difference is why I push so heavily on Figma to be used, like I said, is because you can do multiple frames, where with Canva, you're going frame by frame. So that's good if you're working on one project, but if you're wanting to, make a carousel for Instagram per se, it's much easier to do that instead of having to go page by page by page. You can kind of see how it would flow on step by step. And I think you can do that in Infinity as well, if I'm correct,
Yeah, I think
Peter.
Affinity allows, so Affinity is equivalent of Adobe Creative Suite. So it's one piece of software that kind of it does what InDesign, Photoshop, and Adobe Illustrator does. It is also free to use. It's owned by Canva and it integrates with Canva really quite nicely. So when you have your brand kits loaded into Canva, they also can come through to Affinity.
Mhm.
The capabilities are really comparable, and you can work with frames in a very simple, like pages, effectively in a similar way you would work in InDesign, and quite similarly to what happens in Figma. Not as flexible. I know Figma is like unbelievably flexible and really powerful, but it's also
Mhm.
about finding that balance about the tools that work for you. Now, somebody's asking a quick question. The platform, so Affinity, the tool that we use, it is like nice big green um, logo. And Affinity is part of Canva. I think it gives you different settings, and sorry, different access levels depending on what Canva subscription you have, but it's like unbelievably cost effective platform. And especially like we generally advocate for use what you already have. And if you need to change to a different tool, have a plan and have a reason. Don't just keep
Do
changing
it.
and adding 10
Correct.
different tools and you'll end up just doing nothing because you're trying to do everything.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Now, I don't know if this is something I was going to talk about as well. I don't know if this is currently available inside Canva, but something that a lot of these programs are starting to publish is AI agents within editing tool designs. So I'm going to show you, for example, this is just currently in Figma at the moment, and we try to make sure the workflow is really simple. So let's just say I've got this carousel for Northern Weeds, Pests and Landscapes, and I say I need these frames to be in story um, dimensions. Uh, Can you do that for me? Simple prompt. It might need a little bit more time, but we'll come back to that in a sec. It'll take a little bit to work and just see what it comes up with. But AI tools that you have should be able to make sure that, if you've designed something per se, you could potentially duplicate that into another format and another setting quite quickly. So it's not necessarily about it being the tool that you're using to produce the content, but more so a tool to help you distribute content in other ways, is how we look at it.
I think this is a really good example of, using like ethical use of AI for something that you can do manually, but this just makes it a much quicker process and much smoother process. And you don't, if you don't know off the top of your head what are dimensions for a story or, a different type of post, it does that for you. It's not, and it's also like ethically non-problematic from that perspective as well. Like you're not stealing anybody's content. You're not, training on anybody else's content. This is your content, and it's just AI empowers you to move a little bit faster and a little bit more efficiently.
Correct. And as you see, like it hasn't finished the full project for us. It's still going to need that human direction in there. But in time, these tools will get better. I could go back and forth with this and continue to prompt this to make it look much more cleaner, or you just go in there and do it yourself. But I think that, like you said, it's the tools and using it ethically that makes it much easier for us to
Yeah.
use.
For those who
Cool.
haven't used Figma, this is a question like for
Mm.
Jared. For people who have not used Figma, how steep is the learning curve?
Um, I guess like I've got two young girls that work with me. They probably took about, I'd say, a month to get their heads around it. It still updates quite regularly, so it's there's new features always coming out, and you have to learn them. It's just part and parcel of us being in a creative industry, and also for businesses as well. Like, you're always going to have to learn new tools. It's never just going to be simple, we're done. Technology is forever changing and forever evolving, and sometimes it makes it easier, other times it can be a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, I think this is like, if anybody is going to embark on a, mission to learn Figma and to roll it out in their operations, the really wonderful thing about AI is that you can ask a very specific question and it will walk you through it step by step about how to do something. So, it's becoming about figuring out what is the right question to ask. And sometimes you can even help AI. You can use AI to help you to figure out what is the question that you need to ask and where you're getting stuck. So, it's a very helpful tool from that perspective. It's like, it's like how to use the internet, as I always say. It's like how to use AI for what? You can do really a lot with that.
Yeah, I'll just quickly show people if they're not here. Something that I talk about is frames, and that's a frame is just the tile that you see on, let's say, Instagram as such. And frames come in different dimensions. So an Instagram post, if you guys want to write this down, generally goes by 1080 by 1350, and that's a full frame of a social media feed. And I'll just show you. One thing that always annoys me is that's saying that. So, for example, if you're in the feed, here you go. There's an AI banner for you right there. But if you're in the feed, it covers up so much more space when it's by those dimensions rather than being a square. And for marketing purposes, when people are scrolling, you want to be able to have more advertising space. So using those dimensions as a rule of thumb is really, really important. So I will chuck that into the chat for everyone. Okay, you can't put that in there like that.
No, you can just type that in. Yeah. Also, just for everybody's, while Jared's doing that, we're recording this webinar, and it will be on the website, on Forging Guild website, probably later today. And also there will be a transcript with that. So with all the information that's happening here, everything we're talking about, you'll be able to get back with it, just catch up, and in case you missed anything. Would love to see more questions. So
Yeah.
just drop in whatever you have to ask. Doesn't matter if we're jumping the gun a little bit. This event is here to be helpful for you. So if you have any, social media related questions, content, AI, all of that, throw it out, and Jared and I will try to answer them best to our knowledge.
Yeah, cool. I'm also gonna. This is just a little tool, so I will go into this. But two of my best friends, uh, they live over in Switzerland. One is the head developer for the AI meta glasses, and used to be a head developer for Google. So he does a lot of coding in the back end and tests things out. And my other friend, Kat, so Kat and Mitch, apologies, didn't say his name. My other friend, Kat, is currently the head of AI Slop for YouTube at the moment, and we're going to go into that in a bit. But they gave me, this is a really cool prompt, and I know you can do this within ChatGPT as well. So I'm just going to jump across, but I'll put this into the chat. When you have instructions for Claude or let's say ChatGPT, you want to be able to make sure that it's making reasonable and accurate results and conclusions rather than just going off into a fantasy land. So they gave me this prompt to put into my Claude, which is, showing results to the conclusions and planning for a genic work and multi-steps to take when doing like research online through AI, and keeping sticky notes, because AI with a prompt, I'm just going to quickly talk that with a prompt, when you put something in there like you're working towards trying to find something out, or trying to get a program up and running, the longer the chat exists, the dumber the AI becomes. So there's just this little prompt that I'll give you guys as a free tool to put into your chat GPT and into your Claude if you currently use it. Is that okay, Idra?
Yeah, no, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Now Cindy has a question. Can you
Mm.
change from YouTube video to TikTok Reel? I'm going to assume
Easy
that
as.
yeah. Okay,
I'll
great.
just show you. There's multiple different ways that you can do this. I think the best way to do it is you can use programs like download this reel, for example. You can do this across Google, YouTube Shorts, TikTok. There's heaps of different options, and all you do is you'll copy the link of the video. You'll go to these third-party providers, place it in there, click download. There will be pop-ups that will come out, close them off, and then you can just download the video straight away, and then you can post it to another platform. Is that is that an okay answer?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Look, it's if it, yeah. Look, I feel like there's usually more than one way to to do this.
correct.
We're also working on building a workflow where you can generate a lot of different content out of one YouTube video. So
Yeah,
your video becomes your core, and then you just split that multiple ways, and you can like we have a tool coming that we'll be talking about it in one of September sessions that essentially helps you to do that. So like the whole workflow, where you just do one thing, you do one thing well, and then it's just like cut up in a lot of different uses, different applications and different platforms. So
yeah,
we'll be
and
talking about that.
that stuff's really good because when you're creating, let's say, long form content, you want to, like today, we should be able to cut something out of our conversation and be able to post it on social media. So
Absolutely.
I really look forward to seeing that. Okay, cool. So you guys have seen some of the tools that I'm using at the moment. I know it can be a lot to take in, so because there's so much that goes on. But we're going to move on because we've only got an hour and I've somehow talked for 23 minutes already about all of these topics. We're going to move on to labels and why they're probably costing you in terms of social media. Now, there's two different labels that I want to talk about today. One is AI content, and the other is AI creators. So I had mentioned previously that my friends from Switzerland work high up in both of these tech companies. Now, they they really were quite heavy on me when I was talking about owning a marketing agency that I need to avoid using quite heavy AI slop. Now, AI slop itself is probably one of the biggest issues that the tech industry is facing at the moment. And it's basically because we can generate videos quite quickly in today's society. And it has to be stored somewhere. Everything that we do online needs a storage. And that's why you're seeing like a lot of conversations right now come up around AI data centers, because we're going to need to be able to power the AI, but also store all the content that we're making and generating with this quite quickly.
I'm going to
Um,
add one really quick one as well, Jared,
yeah,
about the data storage, because this is like a very relevant topic. Um, it's not just AI content that needs to be generated stored somewhere. It's every single video that you take of your cat. It's
yeah,
every photo that you take of like a back of a label of something that you can't read, or like how many times you've taken a photo of your modem to give someone the password, when they're visiting. Every single piece of digital content that you're creating on daily basis needs to be stored somewhere.
correct. And I think people forget this because, it's just so easily accessible to us in our day-to-day lives. But for someone like me who works on content all the time, I have the largest phone that I could possibly do. I have so much online storage. And yesterday, I just got a notification when making a video saying you're out of storage again. And so everything now, like when you get to those stages, and I'm sure we all have sitting today in the room, we've all got to that and being like, oh, I'll just delete a couple photos. But even when you're deleting the photos, they're just compressed and stored somewhere else. Like when I remember when I was studying communications, I was reading this book and it's like Super Connected. It was one of the first pieces that our uni professor had actually got us to read, and it was quite interesting to know that there was a case where the FBI had needed to find some data on images that were taken, and they were able to pull that up, and the images were 7, 8 years old, and they had been deleted from the phone. So everything is still stored forever. Just remember
Yeah.
that. So when you're sending a Snapchat, when you're doing all of that, the information is completely stored.
And like I usually say to, in cybersecurity context, this conversation comes up a lot, like the secure storage of data. The only truly secure way to store data is to not store data.
Correct.
So when you take a photo of your driver's license, it's somewhere out there, and you
Yeah.
probably have limited knowledge of where it actually ends up or doesn't end up. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Massive thing, just as a pinpoint, like
Mm,
two-step verification, authenticator applications.
absolutely.
It
We will
with
have a
today's.
cybersecurity session coming up
Okay.
in
Okay.
September
Cool.
with amazing experts. So that'll be fantastic. Now,
All right.
questions. So we have, sorry,
Yep.
just really quick interruption. Emily is asking, hi Em. She's asking, what are the best ways to make your content engaging to gain traction in Instagram and to get into your target market algorithm? And also, if you delete the deleted photo, does it help? Two questions. Pick which one you want, both.
Sorry, deleting photo, no, doesn't really change. If anything, like never delete images off of social media. You want to archive them because deleting it off the platform goes against the guidelines in which Instagram and Facebook want. They want to be the more time that people spend online, the more space they have for advertising. And that's the number one rule besides data collection that these massive tech giants are working towards. They need your time because that means that you can see more ads in your scroll every single day. So don't delete posts, just archive them because it gives the possibility of you bringing it back in the future. And what was the first bit?
The first one was like, what are the best ways to make your content engaging to gain traction in Instagram to get into your target market algorithm?
I follow a few principles and we're quite heavily on this. You've got 3 seconds to make a hook, whether or not that's visually spoken or written. You need to make sure that it's subject around what you're talking about. And there's a common principle that I really embed with my team, and it's called semiotics. And I harp on about this all the time. Gaidra's probably sick of hearing it from me. But semiotics is a signifier and a signified. It's words to a picture. You'll see it with any great advertising agency in the world. If you have a photo of, I'm just going to put an image in your head. There's an advertisement that I think back to quite heavily, and that is a young girl playing in a cardboard box as a car in the first part of the video, which is your hook. And it's quite interesting. And then it goes to her owning a Volkswagen at the end. And so we bring the semiotics in there. It's like childlike car image to actually owning your own car. And it makes you kind of reminisce on childlike behaviors. So keep that as like a mental note whenever you're making content. But also go research semiotics. It will really, really help you with your content. But I guess, yeah, that's really it. We'll have a look at this anyway, and I'll just quickly go over the labels of social media. Something I really want people to be cautious of is these text tiles that you'll see up the top here where it says AI content. With AI slop and us being able to generate imagery and videos quite heavily, I built this for a client because we hadn't done any video work on the Run Club as such. Yeah, but I'll show you how I made it in a second. But you'll see this tile here and it says AI content. Now, the distribution of this content in the algorithm won't go as far as such as someone being an AI creator. So they're going to, in the future, this is use a program called Superseed, which is free with a lot of different programs like Figma at the moment. You can actually use Superseed free Figma to prompt to make videos. And social media giants are going to prioritize this longer form of content that is still quite creative because at its core, they want creativity for you to be on the platforms. We're here to be entertained. We're not here to see an AI generated banner, as we talked about before, of something that you've got coming up. It's much easier for you to just film a video of yourself talking about an event that you have coming up than creating something like this. And the reason why these two examples are really important is this only came out 2 days ago, and it was really funny because we've been talking about this for months. And even when I was speaking to Claude today, in preparation for this meeting, it was telling me that, no, you're wrong, Jared. There's nothing to back this up, what you're saying. And I was like, no, no, I know that I'm correct. Um, and it's AI slop. The tech giants are sick of it. So we need to be cautious because we are going to be shadow banned. And I'll give you an example why. So my friend Kat, head of AI slop, she when we sat down at the Greenock pub and we were talking about this, she's like, you need to encourage people not to make really poor quality AI on the internet. Avoid using it at all costs. Because, and this is the biggest example. So, like one of the most popular YouTube slop channels, Cat Wing, estimated earned about 4.25 US million dollars annually, had its account suspended from the monetization program because they don't, it costs so much money for them to store this data online that it's not worth them actually prioritizing these type of creators. So the creators that they are going to prioritize are those storytellers who are, doing fun things, as my example.
So this is a really interesting one though. If they have like the annual revenue of what, four, like in the millions, clearly there's someone consuming that content.
Correct. And this is a huge thing. Like brain rot is a massive topic that we talk about when we're creating content as well. We want it to be very much more human focused because we don't want to be negatively impacting people's mental health. And that's also another aspect of why they're trying to ban this heavy AI slop. I don't know if is it crocodilla? Anyway, there's this AI that you might have seen on the internet where it's like a crocodile and then there's like a thumb that talks, and the AI fruit. I don't know if anyone's ever watched those type of videos, but the way that they're designed with bright colors and very quick changes of scenes, actually just it's really bad for your brain. And the AI giants know this, so they're trying to remove it as much as possible. But I'll show you an example of what to back this in of what I'm talking about today. Is LinkedIn has just deployed this feature um, on their platform, and it basically allows you to click the dot 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 on there, and it says it seems like AI slop. Now, as they're building out these algorithms and they're becoming smarter, us posting that Chat GPT banner on our social media will one day become irrelevant because they do not want it on there. It is costing them way too much money in data. So you can report something as AI slot and it says, thanks for letting us know, we'll improve the feedback. And now that will go to their dedicated algorithm teams and they'll review that, even though I'm going to undo this because it's not fair that I have done that. This is a huge part, and us as a community, and we need to look at us using social media as a community. We will have the control to say whether or not we think something's AI in the future because they really want to separate the human content versus content that's being generated. And the reason for that is that as AI is developing, agents are creating their own agents within the space. So AI actually just lives on the internet freely, and they are automatically making social media content, they're producing content, and there's no one actually controlling this. So we're trying to get to a space where the algorithms are fighting against the content that's going out. And if you're using those same platforms and tools, you will unfortunately be shadow banned and crucified for that. And yes, shadow banning does exist. I know that people probably think it doesn't, and I always thought it didn't as well. But Mitch and Kat were like, no, no, it definitely exists. If it breaks the guidelines, which AI content does, your post will be limited. So you can put this time and effort into creating this sort of stuff, but if it's not getting seen by anyone, it's just a waste of a post. I'd rather you take a photo of a handwritten sketch on a piece of paper and post that on social media than using the AI banners.
So just talking about really quickly, so is there a difference between, is it more like quality thing?
Correct. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's not
So
about not using AI. It's about using AI well. So don't,
correct.
put out something that is crappy. It's like if you're going to use AI, use it really well with intention and purpose and be, deliberate and refine it well. These little
Yeah.
horrible flyers, I have a
Okay.
special place for them.
So I'll quickly go in and show you an example today of how I developed some content for one of my clients. So I work with To Be Nourished Cafe in Kapunda and Kapunda Strength Studio, and we're building up both of these businesses quite heavily at the moment. Now, we've just started a run club on the Sunday, and I didn't have any content for it, but I have taken photos of the business before, and there's very key frames that I look at when developing content and things that people will remember in their day-to-day life, right? So for me, these tiles, they always annoy me, but we've never been able to find some replication of these tiles that are missing on the front of their cafe. And people always notice this in our community. So I developed some content which we'll go into here by looking at multiple different references. So one, the front of the shop; two, a reference from Pinterest on just a blurred image; and three, a first generated image through using Artlist. So I put those two in there, and then I generated this image. I then placed the image of this image and the shop together, and it generated this for me. Now, I didn't like that as such. The image, they were running the wrong way, in my opinion, et cetera, et cetera. So it turns out pretty cool, right? You can still tell that it's AI. There's a few things have changed within the image, but the overall quality of using Gemini Omni 3.0 is quite high detailed. Now, if I posted this directly to the internet, it would kind of shadow ban my position with us online. So I then moved into Artlist and created a prompt using Claude, alongside Claude. Oh, sorry, I want to pause this. Alongside Claude, and your prompts need to be very, 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 yeah. Your prompts need to be very detailed. You can't just put in there and say, make someone running. We need to go in quite detail of, there was in this image here, I don't know if it's not in that one, but in one of the images, once I had put a couple of references of people that work out for us, people had boxing gloves. Now I didn't want that in the photo. So I had to then prompt that to make sure that, it wasn't it wasn't in there. So we then put it through, and as we got to it, this is what came out. Now you can see that, it's there, it's blurred, it looks quite original. We've still, if you can see this, the bricks there, it still has everything. So the recognition for us as a consumer, even though it says it's AI content, we're still going to, like, if we're looking at it step by step, those smaller details are going to make us, think that it's a little bit more real. I then put this back into edits on my phone and developed this video on edits. I could probably screen share, but and I added a few things, like I built out the logo that I wanted through Figma, put that in at the end of the video, and then I also sped the video up, and I reversed it as well. So using AI, in this sense with multiple different stages isn't going to get you shadow banned, because every single time that you do something with an AI content, it logs it in the pixel data of the video or photo that you're making. And if it knows that there's steps that you're taking to develop content like this, you won't be crucified as much as just posting a random image on the internet.
So, Jared, how long it's taken you from like, okay, we need this content to being able to post? How, like, what's the
This
time frame?
video probably took me, I would say, about an hour to produce, an hour and a half, probably around that time. But yeah, there's a lot of steps and a lot of knowledge that you need to produce this. But if you're using the Edits app on Instagram, make sure you're using that to edit your videos, not natively through CapCut or something like that, because they've invested like hundreds of millions of dollars in these applications, and they really want you to use them, because otherwise it's a waste of their funding.
Yeah.
So that's one cool thing. Yeah, go on. What were you going to say?
One of the things that I was actually talking about just on Tuesday at a York Peninsula event, I don't know if there's anyone here from York Peninsula. If you're here, hi, you probably heard that. It's when you're using AI, one of the struggles that people have is consistency of image or consistency of character. And this is where you have an opportunity to adjust your expectations to what you're doing and have a plan that will make your problem less problematic. So if you look, for example, at Forge Guild socials, you will see there's a lot of images where there's images of me that have blurred out face because I use AI to generate different versions of that image. So I request specifically motion blur over my face because I know what I look like and other
Mhm.
people know what I look like. And not looking like yourself is always very confronting and for those images. But this is like looking at this content that you have here, Jared, made me think, kind of reminded me of that, like adjusting your expectations or plan to kind of cater for imperfections of what AI can do, not only just in terms of content ranking, but also just the visual output and being able to relate to it.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the important part is that we can use this as a tool on top of our own creativity. It's not going to be the be end all of like fixing everything that you're doing in your business. Behind AI, there is a human, and that human needs to spend time prompting to be able to come to this result. So even us as business owners, don't ever get in the mindset when working with creatives that, it's just an easy process and step. There are lots of steps in between this and a lot of knowledge to make sure that we're doing this effectively. I'm going to quickly move over and I get to show you guys something that hasn't been published yet. Now, I spoke to Olivia Hoffman Barry this morning, and she said that this is fine to show you guys. But we've just, the last month, we've been working on a project for the release of the Armour 2023. It just got 99 points last night and Shiraz of the Year at the Halliday Awards, which is really cool. But I'm going through and developing some ads at the moment. And I actually wanted to show you guys as reference with this because me and my AI agent have been arguing non-stop. It has been actually quite terrible, to be 100% honest. And I'm going to show you, just as an example of the work that should go into. So we have a wine bottle. Now, I am very creative thinking and I wanted to make this wine bottle look like a CGI in a video. Now, CGI stands for computer generated imagery. It's different to us generating imagery through videos like AI. So it's someone mapping out a full product and then they create every single aspect within that video. I'll show you as an example. So here you go. Here go once. Here we go. I really, really love this design and concept. This has been done many of times, but this is done through CGI. Now, I don't have the capability of doing this, but I do like the concept. So I was thinking to myself, okay, how can I create something similar to that on AI? Now, we started off with just a simple bottle. We have to produce start frames and end frames, which I spent a lot of time doing through Gemini. And just, giving simple prompts like I want it to be leaned on the side. I want the first bit to be quite macro in. And then as we develop, we want it to pan out a little bit more. So giving it those type of references. Now, when we're developing it, there's so many issues that you can face with creating stuff like this. I don't know if you can see your video on the screen, but you'll probably see my prompt. Down the bottom of the bottle, you'll see that the text jumps from
Mm.
to large. It's a big issue. Now, I've gone back and forth a million times trying to fix this. Do you think I've got anywhere further? No. So I need to plug my computer in. But eventually we will get there. And it takes quite distinct prompts for the AI to not move outside of this. And so as you can see here, there are so many prompts for me to get this. I would have spent at least 15 hours in on this project just to develop one video. So again, I remind you, it's not an easy process.
Jared, we've got a question that relates to what
Yeah.
we're talking about. So, Emily, thank you for that as well. What is the benefit of using AI to produce this rather than just filming it in real life?
I guess it's control over things like lighting. For us to be able to produce something like this in a studio would cost thousands and thousands of dollars, because you'd need to go in, hire a studio, hire the right lighting equipment, have the right team on standby, and the right equipment as well. So this tool, even though it's probably going to cost me, I'd say around about $200 to produce this in terms of tokens online, it's a much more efficient way for me to be able to produce this style of content.
We have done similar thing for in terms of photography and videography for KT for KT Wines for a launch, and it's actually quite a similar bottle. And I think just to create the images, it took me probably 2 days,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
two
correct.
full days of shooting and editing, and some instances reshooting. So AI can speed things up a lot, and sometimes it's also like, you know, you have additional constraints. Not everything is accessible and doable, and like there's a lot. There's a lot.
Yeah, correct.
So
It's not a walk in the park. But that's why I wanted to show you guys today the very far end of digital creating, and I'm not even at the peak of what you can learn to do in this space, but it takes time and steps to get to this place.
AI is doing one interesting thing to us. Like, so those who don't know, I'm a graphic designer by as my primary occupation, and then I have enough fingers in every single pie. Um, we used to say that the key skill for graphic designers was to be able to understand what our clients want when they don't know how to say it. AI is forcing us to figure out how to name things that we're expecting and how to name things that we're not expecting. And it's really become very deliberate and very technical in our language, in our requests, and very detailed, and really think about what it is that we're trying to achieve. I don't know if it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. And I think, in my world, it's weeding out opportunity for happy accidents, which is what really makes the creativity. So it's a bit of a conundrum, but it's definitely teaching us to be clear about what is it that we're asking.
Correct. Um, we've got only, well, obviously we might go a little bit over, but we'll try and keep it within the time frame. I think something that's really important in this conversation, Deidre, and I'm just going to write it out for everyone to see on my screen, is content pillars.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of people, this is something, we'll go to a question. So if you got, just quickly, I want you guys to, while I'm talking about this last subject, if you've got questions, start putting them in the chat, because I'll do like a 5-minute power. This is probably your only opportunity to get this with me, and I know a lot about social media. So hit me up with those questions. Content pillars, right? We need to stay within content pillars. And I'm always going to say, let's just say, for example, we have a brand like KT's, right? So we have a human aspect behind it. We have a product aspect. We have a location aspect. And I would say for KT, we have an education aspect. So I've just picked 4 pillars off the top of my head. With your business, you should be doing this as well. Stick within those parameters, right? Because then you can feed in and work out within the human aspect. AI is not going to fit into that because it needs to be human. And I always believe that human content will prevail to be at the top, because we buy from other humans. We don't buy from AI. That's my opinion. We can all agree to disagree. I don't know what you think, Deidre.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
it's yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah. So, and then products. So products could fit within AI. So then we would go, okay. So at what point does that fit in with what we're doing? This is how we map it out when we're looking at it as an agency. Location. you can use AI to do this, but I think it would be much more of a better piece for you to, use your phone if you're making quick content with like an iPhone, or getting a photographer or a videographer out if that's the aspect that you want to go down. Education again would fall into the fall into the place of both human, because you're going to need the human to give the education. But how can AI help you? Whether or not that's through prompts in chats to map out your content strategy, about helping you develop some type of framework for your design that you want to use, and then redesigning it through platforms like Canva, and finding plugins as well along the way, those connectors that I talked about at the start of the video. So when you start mapping out your content pillars, you can work out where AI is going to fit into those. And I think that's the easiest way for us to make sure that we're always having a human focus, but we're using AI as a tool rather than the whole solution.
One of the things that we say, I speak quite a lot in all the education around AI, is the biggest error that I see is the businesses and individuals, they go, how should I use AI? Rather than what problems am I having and which of them can be solved with AI. So really the first thing that you should be doing is figuring out where are you, like where are you getting stuck, what are the, where things are slow, where things are repetitive, where things are simple, and really do just one thing at a time. Because, if you crawl around social media, you'll see all of these amazing workflows that are like, one person, 20 agents, and I'm retired and I'm rich and famous and I live in the Bahamas. That's not real. It's also unrealistic. And if you can achieve even that kind of thing, it's going to be very short-lived, that kind of
Correct.
workflow. So it's like do one thing. So for example, if you want to use AI to just keep an eye on what's happening on the web for a very particular field, like for example, we work a lot with early childhood education. So we're looking for whatever government is issuing in terms of information about early childhood education sector so that we could plan and respond and educate and remain informed. That is something that is helping us. We could do that ourselves. We can just run a search every day, but like instead we just get a summary. So this is one of the things that we're regularly are able to really lean into as AI tool in solving a small problem. But what we don't want to be doing is getting AI to do everything for it, because there will start being holes and problems, and then all of a sudden you have this loose thing. So
Well,
audit your
it's like,
workflows.
yeah, correct. And I think this is really important. And I baffle on about this even after a couple of glasses of wine to you, Deidre, is you don't want to look like everyone else.
Mm,
And that's the thing. You need to find out where your brand sits and who you are. What is your identity? And by doing a task like this, where you're working out where your content pillars sit, and then working out your workflow back from that with AI development, whether or not that's helping you with writing captions, et cetera, um, it's really important.
yeah.
Something that I missed, and I'm going to chuck it in right now, is there's two things I also want you to look at today if you get a chance, and that's SEO versus AIO, right?
Yeah.
You'll see in the news over the next few weeks that things like Claude and ChatGPT, they're going to have watermarks on text. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that there's actual watermarks like on an image over the text. It just means that the language model in which they're writing will follow a certain pattern, like today is great, today's been a really good day, or the car is red and it has wheels. You'll see the same type of text. So really making sure that you jump in there and work with it, but
Mm,
and change a few things along the way. But something that's really important that you should be prompting your AI if you're writing a caption as such is that, does this fall with SEO and AIO? So that when we're searching things online, or getting Claude or ChatGPT to look for something, it picks up keywords, and you want to make sure that these keywords are across all of your social media channels. And when you're writing it, so you're consistently talking about it. And you would see that there when you're watching a video, let's say on Instagram, it comes up with a search panel. It's because people are putting in enough keywords within their social media captions that it's been picked up by Google, and also the AI tools that social media are deploying within. I'll just see whether or not we can pull one up here for you.
And just a really quick one, we do have a question. Just want to
Yeah.
make just kind of quickly highlighting that for you.
No, I can't do it on here. But on your phone, if you're at home, have a look. Go to a piece of content, even if it's these, and just click the dot 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 and get the AI update for it, and it will tell you about what the post's actually about. If that doesn't show up on your posts, it means you're not putting in enough information on SEO and AIO, and then your post doesn't get pushed out further and further and further. All right,
Yeah.
hit me with some questions, guys.
So the question Roxanne's asking, just to clarify, what you're saying that content pillars should be inbuilt in your brand strategy before you diffuse that into your own product campaigns. If so, how often are you finding people are changing their content pillars?
No, we will look at this as a 6 month review, but generally when we're looking at it, you know your business the best, right? So if you're working with someone directly, let's say like Idra or myself, we would sit down with you and go map out where your business is sitting and what are the most important aspects of your business. That shouldn't necessarily change unless you're changing your offers all the time. And you want consistency. Consistency is key in any form of marketing, because if you're consistently changing your message and changing your approach and your offerings, people will get confused.
Yeah, excellent. Does anybody have any other questions?
There
Bring
was
them all
another one.
out. Yeah, no, that's okay. We'll just wait. Maybe somebody else has anything else to say. Look, really quick one. Also, everybody who's joined for this online session, please also register for one-on-one sessions. They are available on Forge and Guild website. I'm going to drop you a quick email after this. Also, this video will be loaded to the website probably later today, so that we can, those who were not able to attend, we know how small business operates. We both operate small businesses, so like that's a reality. So we're going to make this available online, and also all the other resources. We have 2 more sessions coming up next week, so for August. So there's small business AI governance. If you think you don't need to talk about AI governance, absolutely you're wrong. Please join in. It's going to be a really quick and helpful session. And we're also going to be talking about like local visibility. So anybody with bricks and mortar venue, anybody who's having a business that operates locally. We have an excellent speaker about Google Business and how to optimize that. It's all of these are free tools for you to use. So, and these sessions are free. So share them around, send them to your friends and and colleagues. And look, if anybody's we're waiting for last questions to come in, hopefully. If not, I'm really hoping that this was very useful to you. Jared, thank you so much. It's really exciting to be having a better glimpse, more official glimpse into your brain. We worked, more than once together, and it's nice to hear you really breaking it down for others. So this is
Yeah.
fantastic.
I hope I haven't confused a lot of people today, but I think the points that I want to make for you guys stepping away from our video conference to a webinar today is that number one, yes, I am crazy. Don't forget that. Number two is make sure that you're focusing on producing content that resonates with you, not everyone else. Things that are shiny are not always good, and it quickly rusts, basically, is what I want to say. You really want to make sure that your brands, especially when showing up in the digital space, speak of what you value and what your ethos and pathos is within your brand.
Fantastic, thank you. Look, I just
I'm
got another really quick note.
Yeah,
One of the participants highlighted, thanks, Christina, saying that the notes that you were putting in the chat were not showing up for participants. I'm going to put that just in the notes of a video when it's posted online, so everybody can head back to the website and see that.
yeah, that's
So
fine. I'm just going to share one last thing with everyone, and I'm going to finish off this. All right. The word of 2025 was slop. Okay, and now it's just me reiterating this. This is the biggest thing we're talking about on the internet right now. Spend some time researching it. Talk to your friends about it if they're using it, because if you own a business, it will be damaging in the long term.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's all I'm gonna leave you with.
Yeah.
I hope you've enjoyed today, guys. And yeah, if you ever have questions, reach out to Gager, and Gager can pop them to me and I can send out an email to everyone if
Yeah.
there's more questions down the track.
Yep. Yeah, just jump on Forging Guild website and subscribe for news. We don't send out very often, like just like a quick event reminders, but then everything else that goes out is a useful information. And we're just here to help. We're kind of live around the corner from just about everybody. This is South Australia after all. So yeah, fantastic. Anyway, thank you very much for everybody. We'll hopefully see you all at the next session.
Bye, guys.